Have you ever found yourself pouring your energy into people who never seem to appreciate it? As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Yet many of us feel obligated to give endlessly, even when it drains us. Today, we'll explore 8 types of family members you should avoid, helping to protect your well-being and peace of mind. Helping family can be a beautiful thing, but when kindness turns into a one-way street, it may be time to reconsider. From the ungrateful to the opportunists, these people can subtly drain your energy and use your goodwill to their own advantage. This isn't about being harsh, it's about setting boundaries and nurturing genuine connections, not toxic ones. If this resonates, stick around. Discover who might be holding you back and how stepping back could be the best way forward. Like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights on balancing kindness and personal growth. Number 1. The perpetual taker. Let's start with the type that's all too common, the perpetual taker. Imagine a family member who always seems to need something. They ask for favors, a helping hand, financial support, or emotional reassurance, but somehow, when it comes time to reciprocate, they're nowhere to be found. Stoicism teaches us to help others, but only when it aligns with wisdom and virtue. Helping someone who consistently takes without giving back can become a trap, one that drains your energy and offers little in return. Perpetual takers operate on entitlement. They view the support of others not as a gift, but as something they deserve. This mindset creates a one-sided relationship where your kindness becomes a resource they depend on without respect or appreciation. They fail to recognize that real relationships are based on balance, giving as well as receiving. In your heart, you might feel the pull to help, but Stoicism reminds us to act with reason, not solely emotion. The cost of helping someone who only takes is the slow erosion of your own peace and stability. So why should you avoid helping these types? First, it's because enabling a perpetual taker often reinforces their sense of entitlement. They come to expect your help and may even demand it, making you feel obligated to step in. Yet, Stoic philosophy urges us to consider how our actions shape others' behaviors. By continually assisting someone who won't take responsibility, we actually rob them of the chance to learn self-reliance and accountability. In essence, we become a crutch rather than a helping hand. Furthermore, helping perpetual takers can create resentment. It's natural to feel a sense of unfairness when we give without receiving it, and over time, this resentment can poison the relationship. Stoics believe in maintaining inner peace, and when our energy is sapped by those who don't appreciate it, we risk losing that balance. The impact of enabling these types is subtle but profound. We end up feeling exhausted, perhaps even used, because we've invested our goodwill into someone who fails to see its value. Now, what's the solution? Set boundaries. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting your own energy so that you can truly be there for those who respect it. If a family member is constantly taking without appreciation, let them know kindly but firmly that you cannot keep offering support unless they're willing to make an effort too. You don't have to withdraw love or kindness, but you can, as the Stoics teach, temper your actions with wisdom and care. By setting limits with perpetual takers, you not only preserve your own well-being, but also give them the chance to grow. They may come to recognize that relationships are a two-way street. If they don't, then at least you've safeguarded your peace and ensured that your kindness goes to those who truly value it. Remember, real support uplifts, it doesn't create dependency. If this resonates, stay with us as we explore more types of family members who, if left unchecked, can quietly drain your energy and disrupt your peace. Number 2. The chronic victim. Next, we have the chronic victim, a family member who always seems to be in a crisis. Every time you speak with them, there's a new problem or setback. They're quick to share their hardships, yet they rarely take action to change their circumstances. In Stoic philosophy, we're encouraged to help others where we can, but also to act with discernment. Constantly rescuing a chronic victim isn't just draining, it keeps them stuck in a loop, never learning to navigate life on their own. The chronic victim has a unique way of drawing people in. At first, you feel compelled to help, sympathizing with their difficulties. Yet over time, you notice that every piece of advice or assistance seems to go unnoticed. They want a listening ear, but rarely do they seek solutions. Instead, they dwell on the past, reliving their troubles without ever working toward growth. Stoicism teaches us that facing adversity builds resilience, but the chronic victim resists this wisdom, choosing to remain in a cycle of helplessness. Why should you step back from helping chronic victims? First, by constantly stepping in, you're enabling a pattern of dependency. They come to rely on you, not as a guide, but as a crutch that prevents them from taking control of their lives. Helping them repeatedly only reinforces their belief that they need others to solve their problems. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. By constantly assisting the chronic victim, you deny them the chance to develop strength through facing challenges themselves. Moreover, helping the chronic victim often leaves you feeling emotionally drained. You invest your energy, time, and compassion, only to see no real change. This feeling of wasted effort can breed frustration, and over time, that frustration can turn into resentment. In Stoicism, peace of mind is essential, and chronic victims threaten that peace by anchoring themselves and you to a mindset of helplessness. So, what can you do instead? Set clear boundaries. This doesn't mean you stop caring or that you abandon them altogether. Rather, it means offering support without becoming their constant source of comfort. Encourage them to seek solutions on their own, perhaps suggesting resources or actions they can take without your direct involvement. Guide them, but don't carry them. When you establish boundaries, you allow the chronic victim to confront their own limitations and find the courage to push through. If they're willing to change, they'll appreciate this kind of support. If not, they may seek another source to maintain their cycle. Either way, you protect your well-being, maintaining the balance that Stoic wisdom teaches. By giving them space to grow, or not, you honor both their journey and your own peace. Stay with us as we continue exploring more types of family members who, if given unchecked support, can weigh heavily on your energy and disrupt your path to personal growth. Number 3. The Master Manipulator. Now let's discuss the Master Manipulator, a family member who knows exactly how to tug at your heartstrings and uses subtle tactics to get what they want. Manipulators rarely make direct requests. Instead, they employ guilt, sympathy, or even flattery to pull you into their needs. Stoicism teaches us to protect our peace, and interacting with a manipulator can disrupt that peace if we aren't cautious. Helping them may feel compassionate, but over time, it can turn into a pattern that drains your energy and impacts your well-being. Master manipulators often thrive on your sense of responsibility or kindness, making you feel that helping them is something you owe them. They might start with small requests and gradually move to larger favors, knowing that you're likely to agree because you care. This is why, as Stoics, we must approach these situations with clarity. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." In other words, show compassion, but set firm boundaries that protect your peace. Compassion without wisdom can lead to exploitation. One key reason to avoid helping master manipulators is the hidden toll it takes on your emotional health. You may feel obligated to step in, yet after each interaction, you're left feeling drained, resentful, or even guilty. Manipulators create a dependency cycle where your kindness becomes a tool they wield to serve their interests. In Stoicism, we learn that true help uplifts rather than burdens. With manipulators, however, the energy flow is one-sided. Your goodwill becomes their leverage, while you get little, if any, appreciation in return. So, how do you respond to manipulators while staying true to Stoic principles? First, recognize the manipulation techniques they use. If a family member repeatedly uses guilt or exaggerated emotions to get their way, take a step back and assess the situation objectively. Once you identify the pattern, setting boundaries becomes crucial. Communicate that you're willing to help, but only when it's genuinely needed and doesn't come at the cost of your own peace. Setting boundaries with manipulators may feel challenging, especially if they react with disappointment or anger. But remember, boundaries are not about pushing others away. They're about protecting yourself from toxic dynamics. The Stoics believed in control over one's own mind and actions, not control over others' reactions. By stepping back from manipulative behavior, you reclaim your autonomy and protect your mental balance. Lastly, choose carefully when to engage. Ask yourself if helping this person aligns with your values and virtues, or if it merely satisfies their self-interest. If it's the latter, don't be afraid to step back. This isn't cruelty, it's wisdom. Allowing a manipulator to depend on your help only reinforces a cycle of exploitation. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing you can do is to say no. Stay tuned as we continue to explore other types of family members who, while well-meaning on the surface, may unknowingly draw us into patterns that hinder both our peace and personal growth. Number 4. The financial drain. Now let's turn to a type of family member who may seem harmless but can have a significant impact on your well-being: the financial drain. This relative often turns to you when they face financial troubles, expecting help without making any real effort to manage their own finances. Stoicism teaches us to act from a place of wisdom and responsibility, and consistently supporting a financial drain runs counter to these principles. When we repeatedly provide financial assistance, we're not only straining ourselves, but also enabling behavior that may be rooted in irresponsibility or poor habits. Financial drains rely on the generosity of others as a safety net. They often ask for loans that are rarely repaid or hint at their struggles to prompt you to offer help. While lending a hand in genuine times of need is compassionate, doing so without boundaries can create dependency. Stoic wisdom reminds us that true support uplifts, helping someone gain their footing, not keeping them dependent. As Seneca said, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man and the master of a fool." When we act without discernment, we risk becoming slaves to the needs of others rather than masters of our own resources. One reason to limit help for financial drains is that, without boundaries, they may never learn financial responsibility. By constantly stepping in, we become a crutch, preventing them from developing the skills and discipline they need to stand on their own. The lesson here isn't just about saying no, but about offering the type of support that promotes growth. In some cases, discussing budgeting, saving, or even suggesting resources for financial counseling can provide lasting assistance without becoming a recurring bailout. Helping a financial drain can also impact our mental and emotional balance. It's easy to feel resentful when we give without seeing appreciation or effort in return. Over time, this frustration erodes the relationship, leaving both parties feeling tense. Stoicism values peace and rationality, and when we support someone who constantly asks for financial aid without any attempt to improve, we sacrifice our own tranquility. True kindness isn't about unlimited giving. It's about responsible giving that respects both sides. How do we navigate this with wisdom? Set clear boundaries. Communicate openly, letting this person know that while you care about their well-being, you're also mindful of your own limitations. Perhaps you could help once, with the understanding that it's a temporary solution, not a recurring safety net. Encourage them to find solutions that don't rely solely on your generosity. By setting financial boundaries, you not only protect your resources, but also create an opportunity for the other person to take responsibility. They may even come to value this kind of support more than repeated handouts, realizing that growth often comes through self-effort. Stoic philosophy encourages us to be wise in our actions, to give when it's beneficial, but never at the cost of our own stability. Stay with us as we explore more family dynamics that, if left unchecked, can weigh heavily on our energy and sense of peace, reminding us of the importance of balanced, mindful support. Number 5. The critic. Now, let's address a family member who can drain not only our energy but also our self-worth. The critic. This type of person finds fault in nearly everything you do, no matter your intentions. They may offer unsolicited advice or constantly point out your mistakes, making you question yourself and your abilities. Stoic philosophy teaches us to maintain our inner peace and avoid being swayed by the opinions of others, particularly those who only see flaws. By continually trying to appease a chronic critic, we risk losing sight of our own value. Critics are often motivated by their own insecurities. They view the world through a lens of dissatisfaction and project that negativity onto others. For them, critiquing is less about constructive feedback and more about asserting control or superiority. The Stoics believed that true wisdom lies in focusing on what we can control, and we can't control the criticisms of others. In fact, Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Instead of trying to change the critic, focus on remaining steady in your own sense of worth. Why should we avoid helping or engaging too deeply with chronic critics? First, constantly seeking approval from a critic can weaken your self-esteem. No matter how much effort you put into pleasing them, they are unlikely to be satisfied. Stoicism teaches us to act with virtue and integrity, but this becomes challenging when someone continuously undermines us. Seeking validation from a chronic critic only fuels their behavior and places our peace in their hands, something Stoics would warn us against. Moreover, critics tend to create an environment of negativity that can impact our mental health. When we're around someone who always finds fault, we start to internalize their judgments, even if they're unfounded. The Stoic approach here is to detach from their words, recognizing that their criticisms reflect more about their own issues than about us. Engaging too deeply or trying to prove ourselves only disrupts our emotional stability. How can we handle a critic while staying aligned with Stoic principles? First, practice emotional detachment. Instead of taking their words personally, remind yourself that their opinions are their own and need not define you. It can help to respond minimally or redirect the conversation if they begin their usual criticisms. Stoics teach us to guard our peace, and sometimes that means not giving a critic the space to affect us. Setting boundaries with a critic doesn't mean cutting them off entirely. It means protecting your mental space. Let them know that while you value feedback, constant criticism is not welcome. You might even choose to distance yourself slightly, especially if they don't respect your limits. This allows you to maintain a relationship without sacrificing your self-worth. Stay with us as we continue exploring more types of family members who, if we're not careful, can subtly erode our energy and well-being. Stoicism guides us to help others wisely, protecting our peace and strength along the way. Number 6. The lazy dependent. Another type of family member to approach cautiously is the lazy dependent, the relative who relies on you for tasks they could manage themselves, but who shows no initiative. They may ask you for help with simple responsibilities, constantly lean on you for support, and avoid the discomfort of self-improvement. In Stoic philosophy, we're reminded of the importance of purposeful action. As Marcus Aurelius observed, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. In helping a lazy dependent, we risk fostering habits of avoidance and stagnation, not growth. Lazy dependents typically resist challenges, seeking the easy way out and passing responsibilities to others. At first, offering help may feel kind, even necessary. But over time, it becomes clear that these individuals are using your willingness as a way to escape personal accountability. The Stoics valued resilience, self-discipline, and facing life's challenges head-on. Assisting a lazy dependent, however, does the opposite. It encourages passivity and makes it difficult for them to develop the strength to stand on their own. Why should we avoid helping lazy dependents too readily? First, it prevents them from experiencing the benefits of self-reliance. When we step in, we unintentionally reinforce the belief that they can rely on others for their responsibilities. Stoicism teaches us that growth comes from facing hardship. By acting as their constant support, we deny them the opportunity to gain confidence and independence. It's like trying to help a butterfly break out of its cocoon. If we do it for them, they never build the strength they need to survive. Moreover, supporting a lazy dependent can weigh on your own resources and patience. Helping others should be an act that uplifts us, not one that leaves us feeling depleted or resentful. Stoics prioritize their energy, recognizing that to lead a virtuous life, we must be mindful of where our time and efforts go. Constantly stepping in for someone who refuses to take responsibility can drain our own sense of purpose and joy, replacing it with frustration. So how can we manage this situation with a Stoic approach? Set clear, compassionate boundaries. Let your family members know you're willing to help occasionally, but emphasize that it's important for them to try first. You could say, "I believe you can handle this on your own, and I'll be here if you get stuck." but I think it's best you give it a shot first. This small boundary can make a big difference in guiding them towards self-sufficiency without cutting off support completely. Encourage them to embrace challenges as part of growth. Remind them, if needed, that facing life's difficulties is what builds strength and resilience. In Stoic philosophy, this is a path toward freedom. When a person learns to rely on themselves, they find the peace and confidence that comes from independence. Sometimes the best help we can offer is the refusal to do things for others that they're capable of doing themselves. Stay with us as we explore more family dynamics and the types of relationships that, if left unchecked, can subtly impact our well-being and peace of mind. Number 7. The opportunist. Let's turn our focus to a family member who sees relationships as stepping stones rather than connections. The opportunist. Opportunists approach you only when they need something. They don't invest in a balanced mutual relationship, but rather seek out chances to gain from your kindness, time, or resources. Stoic philosophy emphasizes sincere relationships based on virtue and mutual respect. Engaging with opportunists can disrupt that balance, leading us into relationships that lack genuine reciprocity and drain our emotional reserves. An opportunist may reach out with friendly gestures only when they see a chance to benefit. They often rely on subtle manipulation, perhaps showering you with compliments or acting more interested in your life than usual when they want something. For the Stoics, this behavior goes against the grain of authentic human connection. True friendship and family support require mutual respect, not an unspoken contract that benefits only one side. When we repeatedly help opportunists, we reinforce their pattern of taking without giving, ultimately harming our sense of peace and integrity. Why avoid helping an opportunist? First, they rarely show appreciation or reciprocate the support. Their primary focus is their own gain, and once they achieve it, they often disappear until the next time they need help. This creates an imbalanced dynamic that can leave you feeling used. Stoicism teaches us that our actions should be driven by purpose and integrity. Helping someone who only wants to exploit kindness distorts our intention, turning a virtuous act into something hollow and unfulfilling. Moreover, assisting an opportunist can lead to subtle resentment. When we give without receiving acknowledgement, it chips away at our energy and well-being. Stoicism reminds us to act wisely, with a clear awareness of our motives. By enabling an opportunist, we risk losing our emotional clarity and potentially allowing resentment to settle in. True Stoic action comes from a place of balance and reason, not from being driven by external pressures or manipulative tactics. How can you handle opportunists in a way that aligns with Stoic principles? First, observe their behavior carefully. If you notice a pattern of friendliness only during times of need, recognize this as a sign of opportunism. Establish boundaries that protect your energy and clarify the limits of your support. Politely but firmly let them know that you value genuine connection and mutual respect. This boundary may deter future requests rooted in self-interest rather than sincerity. Additionally, choose when and how to offer help. If you feel compelled to assist, do so with the understanding that it's a one-time act, not an ongoing expectation. This approach allows you to help without fostering dependency or encouraging future exploitation. Remember, true Stoic virtue is about acting with discernment and not sacrificing our integrity to appease others. In sum, dealing with an opportunist requires awareness, boundaries, and a firm commitment to maintaining your own well-being. By setting limits, you allow space for more balanced relationships that uplift rather than drain. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the types of family members who, if not approached wisely, can subtly erode our peace and personal growth. Number 8. The guilt tripper. Now let's talk about a type of family member whose influence is subtle but powerful. The guilt tripper. This person relies on emotional pressure, often making you feel obligated to help them, even when it goes against your own needs or well-being. Stoic philosophy teaches us to guard our peace and act with clarity, free from emotional manipulation. However, the guilt tripper can make it difficult to set boundaries, using phrases like, "after everything I've done for you," or "I thought family always helped each other," to elicit a sense of duty that's hard to ignore. Guilt trippers are experts at using your own empathy against you. They may not make direct demands, but their words are loaded with emotional weight. You feel that if you refuse, you're somehow betraying your role in the family. But Stoicism reminds us that genuine kindness and support must come from a place of free will, not coercion. When we allow ourselves to be guilted into action, we give up control over our choices, letting others dictate our actions instead of acting according to reason and virtue. Why is it wise to limit help to a guilt tripper? First, it teaches them that emotional manipulation isn't an effective way to gain support. By refusing to give in, you reinforce the idea that relationships should be based on mutual respect, not obligation. The Stoics encouraged self-awareness and internal peace, which becomes impossible when we're constantly pressured by guilt. Acting out of obligation often leads to resentment, as we begin to feel trapped in a cycle of unappreciated giving. Another reason to set boundaries with guilt trippers is the impact on our mental and emotional health. Constantly giving in to guilt-driven requests drains not only our time, but also our peace of mind. Stoicism values the cultivation of inner tranquility, a state that's hard to maintain when we're burdened by the expectations of others. When we engage with a guilt tripper, we risk becoming a vessel for their needs at the cost of our own stability. True Stoic action is balanced and harmonious, not driven by imposed obligations. So, how can we handle a guilt tripper while staying true to Stoic values? First, recognize the manipulation. When they use guilt-laden language, take a mental step back and assess the situation rationally. Respond calmly, acknowledging their words without absorbing the guilt they're projecting. You could say, "I understand you feel this way, but I need to make decisions that also respect my boundaries." By doing so, you affirm both your compassion and your autonomy. Additionally, set clear limits on your support. Offer help when you genuinely can, but without compromising your own peace. This boundary teaches the guilt tripper that their tactics won't work and helps you maintain control over your own actions. When we help with a clear mind and sincere intent, we act from a place of true Stoic integrity. Stay tuned as we continue to explore other family dynamics and types of relationships that, if unchecked, can challenge our peace and personal growth. As we've explored, not every family member deserves your unlimited help. From the ungrateful to the guilt tripper, these relationships can drain your energy, disrupt your peace, and keep you from focusing on genuine connections that nurture growth. Stoicism teaches us the wisdom of setting boundaries, protecting our well-being, and helping with clarity and purpose. Reflect on your own family dynamics. Are there individuals who seem to take more than they give, or who use guilt and manipulation to draw you in? Consider taking a step back and reevaluating how much you're willing to give. By choosing carefully, you preserve your energy for those who genuinely respect and appreciate it. If this resonates, let us know in the comments, what are your experiences with these types of family members? Like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights on balanced relationships and Stoic wisdom that supports a peaceful, fulfilling life.